But is it a podcast? I'm just curious. Is it a podcast or a class?
It's for like a YouTube video
okay.
like that.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if I'm going to post it yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I would love to hear your answer.
Yeah,
so
sure.
this is Pastor David here.
Yeah.
And I love, so
Great to see you, John. Yeah.
he said many great things, and he brought up many good things in the discussion here for the Interfaith at this really big church. I haven't seen mosques this big in Maryland. Really developed, house of God. And I would like to hear your interpretation of the verse, love your enemy. And I like that you mentioned that.
Take care.
I like that you mentioned that, but I would also like to hear your interpretation of that of that verse in the Bible. I've heard of that verse. I've heard it many times. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's great to be with you. So for Christians, the calling that Jesus has is, again, Jesus being the main prophet, the revelation of the divine, part of the Trinity, the Godhead in Christianity, our saviors, we would say, calls on us to do the difficult work of loving our enemies. And in the context where Jesus said that, it's at a time before his death, where he was put to death, where people were persecuting, being very mean to some folks, where there was division in the time. And so he was challenging people to do the hard spiritual work of loving your enemies. And when I lifted it up today, I used the idea that the highest form of spirituality is getting to a place of being able to love your enemies. And it's very remote and almost unimaginable after this election, to say that is so difficult. There's so much history, there's so much division, and it's really hard spiritual work to love your enemies. Jesus sometimes called Christians to do things that were super hard, just like I know that Muhammad, peace be upon him, and others who are revered in different faith traditions call on people to do things that are very, very difficult. But I think we know in our hearts that if our world is going to be at peace, and peace is so hard, we have to be able to love our enemies.
But this is all part of, I believe as well,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, this is all, I forgot what you mentioned exactly, but this is all part of God's plan. And you did mention the election.
Yeah.
Now, that's also part of God's plan, I believe. I voted, I made my vote. Now, we shouldn't get into politics. I don't want to mix politics and religion. I'm not going to say who I voted for. But I believe that was part of God's plan, God's decree, God's way of bringing back, I feel like bringing peace to the world, and that's God's plan. We don't know what's going to happen. But the most important thing to take away, peace and love in the world. And I would love to say that, us Christian brothers, Muslim brothers, Jewish brothers, we should all be close. The Abrahamic religions are very close to each other. And we should keep an open mind, learn from each other, and seek the truth. How do you like that message?
I like the message. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a hard thing out there. I think God, in the long term, is in control, and each individual thing, it's hard to sort of read where it goes, take care. But in the long term, I think God's plan for humans, even though it's a mystery to us a lot in the short term, God's will be done in the long term. So, all right, assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Peace.